Hey guys, welcome back. And first of all, of course, I want to say thank you all very much for subscribing and for watching the videos and your nice comments, of course. And if you haven't seen it already, I did post this morning my 1-hour podcast with Jules Watcham from Atui Games. And we talked about all kinds of stuff, his background in game development and the Nintendo Switch. And definitely check it out because we talked about his brand new game coming to the Nintendo Switch, and it will be announced next week. So that was exclusive to that video, but please be sure to watch it for yourself, and I left all kinds of annotations and timestamps in the description and comment section of that video, so please check it out. I think you'll really like it. So getting on to the subject at hand, and that is definitely the Joy-Con desyncing issue that we've been seeing from multiple outlets. Now this is not isolated to just one or two different press outlets, but basically nearly the majority of the press who have gotten a hold of the Nintendo Switch have had this problem. That would be GameXplain, IGN, Kotaku, Polygon. Basically the main sites and YouTube channels that are reviewing the Nintendo Switch hardware are experiencing this desyncing issue, and the majority of them are saying it's from the left Joy-Con. And this just started to be reported on today, of course, because the embargo went up for the Nintendo Switch hardware. So of course it spread like wildfire across the internet, on Twitter, and all the different websites about this problem. And Kotaku even said that they had to stop playing The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild with the Joy-Cons, in the normal way it comes with the system, and they had to start playing the game on the Pro Controller because the problem was so bad that they couldn't keep playing Zelda with the standard control scheme that came with the Nintendo Switch hardware. So basically what would happen is that you'd be playing Zelda, for example, and as we know, usually the run analog stick is on the left side, which would be the left Joy-Con. So the analog stick controls Link's running. And when you would run, of course, you would press up on the control stick and you would run in any direction you want, just like any other 3D game with analog sticks. So when the controller would desync, it would lock Link into the run position basically, even when you stopped running. So basically Link would just run off a cliff if you were near a cliff, or he would run into a wall and you couldn't control it for varying different periods of time. And it causes a really big distraction, interrupts your total flow of gameplay, and especially if you're fighting a boss or an enemy, I could see how that could be extremely frustrating, and definitely would want to change your controller if that was the case. So it looks like this is happening widespread. I'm not saying everyone's experiencing this issue, because that's not true, but the major sites are reporting that this issue does exist, and it is cause for concern because it could be a hardware defect in the Joy-Con. It may not be possible to update this to firmware, and there is a really good explanation, of course, by our friends over there at GameXplain, Andre. He did a video explanation of how to recreate the Joy-Con desyncing issue with both Joy-Cons, the left and the right. So they were able to recreate the issue on both of them. So what Andre did was that he went into the Switch system settings, and it gives you the ability to actually calibrate your control sticks. I don't recall the Wii U having this capability, but the Switch does, and he went in there and he started to calibrate the control sticks there so he could recreate this desyncing issue, and sure enough he was able to do it every single time. Now basically he came to the conclusion that when the left Joy-Con was covered by his hand or by an object in general, the Joy-Con desynced and the controller was no longer able to read the inputs of the control stick when he was moving the stick in a circle. And he put it behind his back, he covered it with his hand, and it was desyncing each and every time. And it wasn't limited just to the left Joy-Con. He tried it with the right Joy-Con as well. It wasn't quite as bad as the left, but something was interfering with the Joy-Con when something was in front of it or covering it basically. So it couldn't sync up with the system that obviously was in front of it underneath the TV on the dock. However, it should be noted that people were experiencing the desyncing problem on a left Joy-Con even without anything seemingly covering up the Joy-Con besides their hand. So if you could imagine, obviously your hand has to hold the Joy-Con, so if it covers up the sensor or some kind of interference happens when you cover it up with your hand because you're holding it or you have big hands, you may lose control of your game, which is bad. You don't want that. And you may have to invest and go spend $70 on the Pro Controller to get the control to be working exactly how you want it. And hopefully there's no desyncing issues with that. Obviously no one has reported that. And the reason why I bring up that it might not be firmware updatable is because of the physical aspect of it. Actually physically covering the Joy-Con with your hand, or putting both hands over it, or putting it behind your back, or something comes in front of it, basically is causing the desyncing issue here. So I'm not 100% sure if a firmware update could fix that. it could be something related to the hardware inside the Joy-Con that needs to be fixed itself. So we could be looking at a worst case scenario of having the Switch come out on launch day and fans having all kinds of problems, and then Nintendo might issue some kind of recall on the system to get your Joy-Con fixed. Or it may be as simple as Nintendo sending out brand new Joy-Cons that are not having that issue. But either way, it is something of concern to everyone in the press who have experienced it, because obviously when you play a game, you don't want anything to be interfering with it. You want to keep playing. You don't want to have something stopping you from enjoying your game. And who knows, maybe Nintendo can do a firmware update that could maybe improve the issue somewhat. I'm not sure if there's some kind of frequency Bluetooth problem that's going on in the Joy-Con that can be fixed via firmware. I really don't know, guys. But the press like GameXplain and IGN and these other websites have contacted Nintendo, but so far there has been no response that has been published yet that we know about for Nintendo to give them an answer and if this issue can be fixed. So we are waiting to see if this issue can in fact be fixed before launch, if there's something going on that Nintendo can do before the system actually hits the market, because the last thing we want is to have to be sending our Joy-Cons back to Nintendo and getting new ones and delaying our time playing it. Unless of course you have a Pro controller and you spent that extra $70 and you don't mind. But for the majority of people on launch day, they're just going to have what the system comes with. They're going to have the Switch console, the dock, and the two Joy-Con controllers with the Joy-Con grip, and most likely Zelda, right? So this is very interesting, guys. I don't recall there ever being a quote-unquote defective controller from Nintendo being reported on various different outlets before its system was ever released. And I've been around since the beginning of Nintendo with the NES, SNES, and so forth. There's never been any kind of reporting going on through the press where they've experienced a controller that wasn't functioning correctly for them to review the systems. So this might be the first time that we ever see something like this, guys, which is unfortunate. But hey, hardware defects do happen. It could be something in manufacturing, or it could be something in the firmware that they just need to update that they didn't yet. Either way, guys, you have to realize that these are review systems, so no doubt Nintendo did not want this to happen. So you can bet there is going to be some kind of update on this really soon. Who knows, even before I post this video, there might be new information about this. So we're just going by what we hear so far on playtesting of this device, and I really hope this is definitely fixed and it becomes a non-issue really quickly before the millions of people pick this up and then start having problems playing Zelda. Eesh, we don't want that, right? Keep in mind too that there is a day one system update that is mandatory when you buy the Switch. There is another unknown right there, because we have no idea if that problem will just evaporate when you do that day one system update or if it will not be touched at all. But the day one system update is interesting. The update is going to have, according to Nintendo, access to network features such as the eShop, online gameplay would be enabled, ability to share images to social media, ability to link with Nintendo accounts to your Nintendo Switch console, the ability to connect online using hotspots that require authentication, which is good news, right? But people, we were worried about that because of the lack of the internet browser, such as a hotel or cafe. Web applet will open up so the user can sign in and accept terms of use. So that's what the day one update is going to have. It doesn't, of course, mention anything about fixing the desyncing issue of the Joy-Cons, of course, because it looks like this was unexpected, even though we're hearing various reports of it happening very consistently. Perhaps some more testing, Nintendo, may have been needed. Anyway, I really hope this is fixed, guys. I really do. We don't want this to go wrong. So let me know what you think about all this in the comment section. Are you worried about this issue for the desyncing of the Joy-Cons? Or do you think you just need to play the Switch with a Pro controller and not worry about it? Or are you just going to tell people not to be around your game while you're playing it so they don't interfere or put interference with the Joy-Con? We'll have to wait and see. But please do let me know in the comment section and we'll discuss it. Alright guys, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to this channel, and I'll talk to you very soon in the next video. Take care.